Good afternoon. I'm very happy to welcome this afternoon Pamela Clay, actress and singer from the United States. How are you, Pamela?
I am doing so wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. And to pronounce
You're
your name
welcome.
properly, is it Sherif? Is that how we
Sherif.
say it?
Yes,
Sherif. Wonderful. Like
yes,
Omar Sharif.
correct. Like Omar Sharif, yes. Yes, I
Yes.
had the privilege of interviewing him more than 10 years ago in
Wow.
Egypt before he
Oh.
passed away because we invited him. He's originally from Alexandria, my country,
Mhm.
and in Egypt, and we opened the Alexandria Festival with one of his last films. It's called The Traveler, and it was screened in Venice. Then we got the movie in Alexandria, and everybody was happy welcoming him in his hometown, Alexandria. A lot of
Oh,
people
that's
came to see him. We used to know him in the
wonderful.
50s and the 60s. But
That's wonderful.
anyhow,
Yes.
Pamela, I see that you born and grew up in Oklahoma, right?
Truthfully, I was born in Oklahoma, but I grew
Yes.
up a lot of places because my dad was in the army. So we moved every two
Yes.
years. So
Yes.
Oklahoma was where I started.
Yes. Yes. And before moving to other part of the states, what and where did you study? You study acting and singing all together?
Well, it was interesting because I feel like, there are other people who choose their profession and their career. And I feel like my profession, my career chose me because I started so young at age 5. And even though we would move, it didn't matter where we went. Somehow they would find
Yeah.
out that I could act and sing, and they would put me in shows. And it just continued like that. It's interesting how you I don't know how you do it, but you pray to God and tell God what you wish and work for it as much as you can, and then just be
Yes.
grateful for what comes.
Yes. And I've seen that at a certain point of your career, you moved to France, and you,
I
you,
did.
you
I did.
got
Well, what
got
started it?
responsible.
What started it was Daddy
Uh-huh.
got stationed in Paris when I
Really?
was, I think I was 11, and
Uh-huh.
the first year, I think it was my 6th grade, I went to the American school, and that means everybody was American. We were all talking English. But my
Yes.
7th grade, I got to attend the international school there at SHAPE, Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe, where all the children of all of the different people who from all the different countries who were part of SHAPE, who had children there in Paris, we all studied together. And so
Yes.
our native languages were all different. And our one
Mhm.
common denominator was that we were learning French together. And I had been
Mm.
introduced to it back in the States in 5th grade when they rolled a TV into class and, tried to teach us French. So I was kind of primed a little bit. But I don't know, maybe I have a French soul. Who knows? Because it came very easily to me.
Mm. And
And then
but
later
this helped
I
you.
went back. Pardon me?
Pros- this helped you, I think, as well because you perform a lot of French songs. I've read you perform La Vie en Rose, Edith Piaf, and many
Yes.
classic French songs,
Yes, yes. Well,
right?
what happened was, yes, that's so true. What happened was, we left France, my family, then we went to Germany for a couple of years, and Daddy was, um, the commandant there in Gießen. And then we went back to the States. But later, my junior year in college, I went to the University of Bordeaux, and I loved France and did not want to come back to the States. And I
Hmm.
ended up staying there for many years and ended up meeting a French man from Paris who's a wonderful musician who's actually in the band that my husband and I have now, which is a very different kind of music, all original New Orleans flavored rock called Catahoula.
Mm.
But I
Mm.
am completely fluent in French. And as a result, when I first heard Edith Piaf's La Vie en Rose, as a singer, you hear certain songs, and I'm getting chills talking about it. I'm like, I got to learn that song, and it's so wonderful to know that she wrote the lyrics, and
Hmm.
it's all about how. I like to say, not only when you're in love, because you can be in love with life, you don't have to be in love with a person. So when you're feeling that in love feeling, you see life through rose colored glasses, la vie en rose. And I'm so grateful that so many people love to hear me sing it, because I sure love to sing it. I
Hmm.
do.
Have you seen the movie about Edith Piaf, La Vie en Rose? What
I
did you
was
think about
actually
it?
I was actually very blessed to not only see the movie once,
Yeah.
but 5 times, and
Really?
twice at two of the
Mhm.
different screenings, because these were special screenings that Screen Actors Guild had. And at the time, I think
Yes,
that year I was invited to these really cool private screenings. You get in a lottery, and sometimes your name is picked, and I was picked that year. And I got to meet her twice, and she was
yes,
one of the sweetest people I ever met. She was very just like you and me, very natural, down to earth.
yes,
Not at all, not at all, whatever the
yeah,
word might be otherwise. But she was wonderful, and I'm so glad that she won the Oscar. She deserved
yes,
it. Oh my
yes,
goodness, loved that
yes,
movie.
yes. Very beautiful film, biographical film about a very influential singer in France, of course, and the whole world. Yeah, and also in Egypt, especially in the last century, 30, 40s, there was a lot of French people, Francophonic culture,
Yes.
and people, used to listen to
Ah,
her
yes.
on vinyl. People used to own her vinyl in Egypt as well.
Well,
But
being here in Los Angeles, we have many people from different cultures. Los
of
Angeles
course,
is quite a melting pot. And I,
yes,
I know that every Monday night for years, when this wonderful man named Skippy Lowe was alive, I would sing in his show. And he had many people of many different cultures there. And I know that we had a few people from Egypt, and who would come,
yes,
and who especially loved Edith Piaf. And I was inspired to write my own show about her life, which I
yes,
performed at Feinstein's 54 Below in New York.
yes,
It was the first time I had ever performed, and only time I've ever performed in New York. I went from LA to go there to do the show, and I've performed at many different places, at private parties, at the Catalina Jazz Club, and at Vitello's at Studio City, which unfortunately is closing. But I'm always looking for the next most wonderful venue to do this show in, and I've performed it at the Gardenia, where I'll be
yes.
having actually a special birthday show in January, and I'll be singing
Hmm.
some Edith Piaf, but I won't be Edith Piaf as I am when I do her show. I allow her to come through me.
Yes. Yes, Pamela, I see as well, beside your singing and musical career, you've been an actress for a long time. You did a lot of on
Yes.
theater,
Yes.
cinema, television. And today I was watching, one of your show reels, and I noticed you worked with Tommy Lee Jones in
Yes.
one film, a
Yes.
television film, right?
Well,
It
what
was for
happened? It was,
HBO.
it was I at the time when I was cast in
Yes,
that film, I was living in the DC area. I was married to
yes,
my ex, so my name was Pamela Roussel, and I had just returned from studying with the most incredible acting teacher named Sanford Meisner, if you've ever heard of him.
of
And
course.
he has a school in New York called the Neighborhood Playhouse, which he formed. But he got the idea to start teaching students where he lived 6 months out of the year when he was not in New York, and that was the island of Bequia. And I
Yes,
went there, and I got to study with him. It was incredible. I was in the guinea pig group. We were the first ones to go. And when I got back is when I booked that movie. And it was the first movie I ever booked. And yes, it was originally the BBC. It was
mhm,
broadcast on the BBC, but it was a co production with HBO. And
mhm,
so it was broadcast in England first, and then it came to the U.S. and was broadcast. And I was just over the moon because, my first big role, and it was opposite of someone that I've admired, gosh, for so long. He's amazing. I love Tommy Lee
Yes,
Jones.
of course. How
Yeah.
was to act with him? He's a very, I think, very strong, intense actor. I've seen most of his films,
He
you
is
know.
he is very very strong energy. You know
Yes.
how we all have auras, and
Right.
different people make you feel different ways. And Tommy Lee Jones, the first time I met him, it was like literally like a, gosh, I don't know how to say it, sort of like a human cannonball.
Hmm.
Someone who carries such incredible personal power and weight that that power could be used for good or ill, but you definitely respect him immediately on first meeting just from his energy alone.
Yes. And I've seen in his interviews, he does very few. He's always, I mean, he's very serious about his craft. He does not take it for granted. I
He,
mean, not,
he is
he's not
very
doing it for fun, for the fun of it.
He is extremely serious,
Hmm.
and I admire him very much for that. Um, and I think I was very fortunate to be able to work with him and actually cause him to when the crew said to me, Pamela, what did you do? Because apparently he is so serious that he doesn't often smile, but when he
Hmm.
was working with me, they found him smiling, and they noticed that. So I thought that was a really wonderful thing. But yes, he's definitely he's one of the most amazing actors. He basically can do anything. I think he's underrated. You know.
Of course, yes. But I think he worked a lot, until he got many breaks in the 90s, when he did Under Siege with Steven Seagal. Then, with the same director, he did The Fugitive. He got the
Oh,
Oscar,
yes.
and then he got his role in JFK, and many, I mean, series of a role that gave him, I think, credit, to his
Yes.
acting career, because he started late 70s. I've seen some of his early films as well. And as well, you co-starred with Stephen Bauer. He's very
Yeah.
famous for his
Yes.
role in Scarface with Al Pacino, right?
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Now, Stephen Bauer, um,
Hmm.
similar to Tommy Lee Jones in that he too has this incredible energy. However, with Tommy Lee Jones, I immediately felt fear, but
Hmm.
with which dissipated, of course. But with Stephen Bauer, it was more. It just kind of you're impressed, like wow, like you're meeting, oh, I don't know, like King of the Jungle or something, someone who just has a lot of personal power, but is extremely sweet. I mean, he is so sweet. You'd never know it from watching his work, I think, because he gets cast as bad guys so often, but he's a very tender-hearted person. Loved working
Yes.
with him.
Yes, Pamela, I've seen you have done a lot, like we said before. But tell me, as an artist, and multicultural, you've been in Europe, the United States, and very few, actors or actresses or singers have the opportunity to travel and getting exposed to other culture, other way of life than United States, California, Oklahoma, DC. Tell me, according to your experience, do you have a dream you want to achieve, or a dream project you want to achieve as a singer or an actress?
Well, gosh, I would say first off, I'd love to sing at Carnegie Hall. That would be
Uh-huh.
really wonderful. I would love to be a very important person in a very important movie about
Mhm.
something real. That's one of the things that when I worked with Tommy Lee Jones, that movie we did, that was based on true events.
Yes.
He playing a CIA agent who actually
Yes.
got booted from the CIA because he was unable to determine if this Russian man that I had had this thing with was a spy or a genuine defector. And so it's really,
Hmm.
I love being a part of stories that matter. And I so admire actors who are able, like, Sylvester Stallone. He writes this dream role for himself,
Hmm.
and of course, well deservedly has achieved so much recognition and celebrity for it. I would love to do that, and I haven't. That's one of the reasons I was so moved to write my show about Edith Piaf, because
Yes.
I resonate so deeply with her for whatever reason. We don't know the mysteries of life, but I get her, and I just understand what she went through for whatever reason, and so that's what I'm hopefully attracting in the universe is some wonderful vehicle, whatever it may be, that will help to enlighten, inform, enrich.
Speaking of HBO, I remember very well when it started.
Hmm.
It was, I think, one of the first cable TV,
Oh
in the
yeah,
United States,
oh
and
yeah,
it was, I think, it has a very entrepreneurship in
yes,
doing quality films and series
yes, yes.
before the age of the internet. And
It's
I remember they used to produce feature films,
they did.
quality feature films that we used to watch it in Egypt sometimes in festivals. I had a friend who used to work in HBO New York, who
Hmm.
used to come to Cairo Festival. He was the director of film acquisition. His name is Jim Byerly from Texas. I remember very well.
Yeah, sure.
He had a mustache like Clark Gable, and we used to enjoy uh, sitting together, and talk about film history, because you work in HBO in acquisition, and he used to bring European and film at the time, and also I remember watching a lot of quality films like the one you did on VHS tapes. It was before the age of internet. You know,
Yes, it's so true. It's interesting how, but then of course it's also I'm sure the executives that are in different positions that are
of course.
choosing the material. I know that at the time when I was in this film, Nancy Lesser, she
Hmm.
was vice president of HBO, I believe, and she's no longer there. But I think Nancy really helped keep the quality of what we saw on HBO very high.
Yes.
Not to
Yes.
disparage folks now, but I think that the internet, in a way, has. It's done wonderful things for us all. Like, I mean, look at what we're doing right now.
Of
Geez,
course.
it's just a
Hmm.
miracle. But at the
Of
same
course.
time, I think that, you know, over time, quality things will rise to the top, and other things will fall away. And I think because there is so much content out there,
Of
people are
course.
scrambling for content, and of
Of
course it
course.
all hinges on the writing, and
Yes.
what are writers inspired to write about now, and we've all been through and still going through this terrible challenge with the global pandemic,
Of course.
and I gosh, I admire so much the, the folks that are able to keep us going by what they are bringing to us in terms of art and creative content, because
Yes.
our souls need it. We need it to survive.
Of course. And Pamela, tell me a little bit about your band right now, the one you do with your current husband, and what kind
Okay.
of songs you perform, and where
Okay.
do you perform it?
All right. Um, well, the pandemic shut us down, and
Yes.
shut down the main venue where we played all the time, and
Yes.
it's been tragic.
Mm.
And so, as a result, throughout the pandemic, I did. Zoom shows. I did 10 Zoom shows through a platform that was created by wonderful husband and wife team, Bernie Fershpan and his wife, Joanne.
Yes.
Incredible. He used to do first class shows through Metropolitan Zoom. And our
Yes.
wonderful Catahoula's emperor, we call him, Lindsay Gillis, guitar player, he would come over and run the shows for me because I'm really not a tech person. In the fact I'm able to do this seemingly flawlessly is kind of miraculous too. So the band, our next gig we have set for actually New Year's Eve, a private gig, and we're seeking
Yes.
out venues for us to play. Gosh, because so many things have closed. I
Yes.
also, am in touch with a few different venues, and we just we do what we can. I'm also having, like I said, my birthday party show at the Gardenia. That will be Saturday, January 21st of next year. My birthday's the 17th, but it'll be on the 21st. And
Yes.
I'm also going to be in a movie that'll be shooting sometime very soon, playing a very interesting role, a detective with a troubled past. So I'm looking forward to shooting that. I'll be sure to share with everyone all the details.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, I just feel
Uh,
really, really lucky, to be. I have a wonderful agent, Sean Brogan at the Brogan Agency, and
uh,
wonderful husband, and this band, Catahoula, 7-piece, all original New Orleans flavored rock band, literally formed the day my husband and I met back in the
yes.
summer many years ago in Venice, California. And I knew him at first sight. It wasn't love, it was joy. And I was there to audition for him because he had a manager that was doing a country demo for him of songs he'd written. He's an incredible songwriter and singer. And we formed a band almost immediately. And our first band member was Sandy Milne Holden, who's a
Yes.
wonderful, wonderful talent. And then we went on. God brought the different players to us. Like I said, Lindsay Gillis on lead guitar, amazing. John O'Hara on bass, so gifted. Coco Roussel, who is my ex from Paris, France, incredible drummer. We have Bob Schoonover, he's the most wonderful man, and he's married to Alison Arngrim, who's Nasty Nellie on Little House on the Prairie.
Yes.
And
Can you?
Floyd, excuse me, Floyd
Don't worry.
Penn. Got a little frog in my throat talking about the guys and the music. It's like,
No, don't worry about it. Can you see the commentary on the screens here? Mona
oh,
Noor,
you have comments?
uh,
Comments?
yes,
Oh,
yes, she's saying, j'adore when you sing French songs. Chère Pamela, especially La Vie en Rose.
how sweet. Merci beaucoup, chère Mona. Oh, that's
Merci
so
beaucoup,
sweet.
chère
Thank you for
Mona.
tuning in. Oui, oui. Oh, thank you. Well, I
Uh,
wore pink. I thought La Vie en Rose.
uh, o- okay, Pamela. Can you sing us a small verse of the La Vie en Rose right now? Or
Sure.
anything of your choice? Yes.
Sure. I think because Mona has basically requested it, and since I am wearing pink,
Of course.
now I was not prepared to sing, but I'm glad to. Would you like me to sing a cappella, or would you like me to find tracks to sing?
Whatever. Maybe a cappella because maybe not,
Yes.
not a lot of people are familiar with this genre.
Okay, here we go. This is called La Vie en Rose, which means literally life in pink. And the
Yes.
lyrics written by Edith Piaf, the late great French chanteuse, quite beloved to this day. And I believe Marguerite Monod wrote the music. And this is La Vie en Rose.
Très bien.
Des yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rire qui se perce sa bouche. Voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas. Je vois la vie en rose et il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est tendre dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, la joué pour la vie. Dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui bat. Mon cœur qui bat.
Merci, merci beaucoup, chère
Avec
Pamela.
grand
Merci.
plaisir.
And so, Pamela, I look forward for your next projects as an
Thank
actress, cinema, television, or theater. And I hope next time when we are in the States, we can attend one of your shows live with your husband and the
Oh,
band.
that would be wonderful. I'm actually doing a show by Zoom, but it's not only me, it's many
Yeah.
singers. It's a wonderful show that happens, I don't know if it's every Wednesday, but a wonderful woman named Deborah Graff. It's her show. I think it's called Deb's Secret Room or something, but it's on Wednesday nights. And of course, I'll be posting about it. And I'll be singing, I think it's Wednesday, November 9th, which is my sister-in-law Sue's birthday, as well as my husband's daughter Jessie's birthday. So it'll be a very
So,
special day all around.
happy birthday to everybody from our side.
Thank
And
you.
save for us a piece of the cake for next year. Hopefully, we can.
Yes, let's
And
celebrate.
yes, and it was a pleasure having you live, Pamela. And I look forward to have you again when you are promoting one of your new outings soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sherif. It's been such a great pleasure. Merci beaucoup, mon ami.
Je vous en prie.
À la prochaine.
À la prochaine fois. Bon après-midi. Au revoir.
Au revoir.